Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue the journey of Neddie and Beckie Stubtail. Story 23. Neddie plays the piano. "Come, Neddie," cried Mama Stubtail, the lady bear, one day as she went to the door of the cave house and looked out in front where Neddie, the little bear boy, was playing football. "It's time to practice your music lesson, Neddie." "Oh dear," cried the little bear boy. "I wish I was a piano player." "What a funny wish," said Beckie, who was taking her doll Elizabeth Jane Huckleberry Pie out for a walk. "Why do you want to be a piano player, Neddie?" "Then I wouldn't have to practice my music lesson," said the little bear boy. However, since his mama had called him, Neddie started to go in. Then Tommy and Joey Cat, the kitten boys, and Jackie and Petey Bow Wow, the puppy dog boys, called to him. "Where are you going, Neddie?" "I have to practice my music lesson," he answered, and he went into the cave house. But he didn't feel very happy. He sat down to the piano, and he began to play Tinkle, 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 tink, Dumpty dum 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 do. Plinkle plunkle smash o bang, how I wish that I was through. That's the kind of a tune Neddie had to play for his exercise music practice lesson. And really, he didn't do it well at all. For you see, he was anxious to go back to play football with the boy animals. And that's often the way it is when real boys and girls have to practice music lessons. I wish it were not so, for there is nothing nicer in this world than music, and in order to play it well, you have to practice. And someday, if you take music lessons, you'll be glad that you did run up and down the piano keyboard with your fingers when you had much rather be out having games with your friends. For it is very nice to be able to play tunes. But Neddie didn't think so as he sat on the piano stool, drumming away and looking at the clock every now and then to see when his time would be up, so that he could go out and play with his animal friends. Finally, the clock struck 5, and Neddie finished his practice with a bang. It wasn't music at all, but he didn't care. "Hooray!" he cried. "Practice is over. Now I can have some fun." Out of the doors he rushed, and more than ever he wished he were a piano player, so that all he had to do would be to jump up and down with his feet when he wanted music. That is a good way to make nice sounds too, on the player piano, and I can play one or two pieces myself that way. But oh, how I wish I could play by hand. However, Neggie's friends were glad to see him come out again. They played football and nearly broke the window in Mrs. Wibblewobble's duck pen, so that she had run out and called to them, "Now, boys, you must go right away from here. Play football somewhere else." So, Neddie the little bear boy and his friends had to move along and look for a vacant lot where they could kick around their football without breaking any windows. That night, when Mr. Stubtail, the bear papa, came home, he asked Neddie, "Did everything go all right in school today?" "Yes, sir," answered Neddie politely. "And when you came home, did you practice your music lesson?" "Yes, sir," answered Neddie, and he was glad he had not skipped it, as he sometimes did. "Very good," said Mr. Stubtail. "Then, on Saturday afternoon, I will take you and Beckie to a nice moving picture show." "Oh, joy!" cried Beckie, clapping her paws. "Oh, happiness!" said Neddie, and he was glad again that he had not missed his music practice. Well, that night, after Neddie had finished his homeschool work, he wanted to sit up a little longer to read a fairy story. His mama let him do this, but when it came time for Neddie to go to bed, he had not finished the story. So he begged, "Oh, can't I just stay up a little longer, Mama?" Then, as he had been such a good boy, Mrs. Stubtail said, that he might. So, Neddie settled down into the deep cushioned easy chair and read all about how the pink fairy turned herself into a pumpkin and rolled down the hill so the giant couldn't make a jack-o'-lantern out of her. And then, quite a lot of things happened. Mrs. Cat, the mother of Tommy and Joey, and Kitty Cat came in to call Mrs. Stubtail. And Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the muskrat lady, came to ask Aunt Piffy what the old lady bear did for dyspepsia when she ate cheese for supper. And Grandfather Goosey Gander came in to play a game of Scotch checkers with Uncle Wigwag, while Mr. Whitewash the polar bear went out to look for a cake of ice which to sleep on, for he always liked things cold, you know. And there were so many things going on that no one thought anything about Neddie. There he sat in the big chair, reading the fairy story until he fell asleep. And then, as it happened, all the company went home at once and in a hurry. And when Papa and Mama Stubtail locked up the cave house and pat the cat down cellar, no one thought that Neddie was asleep in the big chair. His sister Becky had gone up to bed some time ago, and everyone thought Neddie was in bed also. So, upstairs in the cave house went all the big folks, not knowing that Neddie was in the chair. And there he stayed until it got real late and dark. And oh, so quiet was it in the house. Why, you could have heard a pin drop if anyone had let one fall. All of a sudden, Neddie awakened. He sat up with a jump and looked all around in the dark. Of course, he couldn't see anything, for it was all black. Then, hardly knowing where he was, Neddie rubbed his eyes with his paws, but still, he could scarcely see. Then, he noticed a little light from the street lamp outside, shining in through the window, and he could tell where he was. "My!" he exclaimed. "I'm home, in my own house. I fell asleep in the big chair. Huh, I guess I'd better go up to bed." Neddie stretched himself and was wondering if he could find his room in the dark without waking everyone up, including Mr. Whitewash, who was asleep on a cake of ice, when all of a sudden Neddie heard a noise. It was right under the window near which he had been sleeping, and he listened to a voice saying, "Now, we'll break in through the back door, and we'll take Neddie and Becky and carry them off in our den and never let them out again." "Yes, that's just what we'll do," answered another voice. And then Neddie tiptoed to the window, and looking out he saw two battle lions that had run away from a circus. They were coming to take Neddie and Becky. "Oh, what shall I do?" thought Neddie. "Those lions can easily break into our house, and if I call out to Papa and Mama, now the lions will hear me, and they'll jump in through the window and get me before I have a chance to run. Oh, what can I do? How can I scare those lions away?" Just then, Neddie heard a tiny mousie run up and down on the piano keys, making a little tinkling sound. This made the little bear boy think of something. "I have it," he whispered to himself in the darkness. "I'll go into the piano, and I'll play the loudest bang bang tune I know. Maybe the lions will think it's thunder and lightning and guns shooting off, and they may be afraid and run away." So, Neddie stole into the piano room, and all of a sudden, he banged his paws down on the loud keys as hard as he could. Then, he played on the tinkle tinkle keys, and then again on the thunder notes. The lions, who were just going to break into the cave house, heard the noise. They had never heard music in the dark night before, and they thought it was thunder and lightning. "Oh, wow!" cried one lion. "We're going to be caught in a storm. Come on home to our cave." "I'm with you," growled another lion, shivering, and away they ran, as frightened as could be. because Neddie remembered enough of his music lesson to make a thunder sound that he had practiced several times. "And I'm never going to make a fuss about practice again," he said. "Music is a good thing after all. It scares lions away." Of course, everybody in the cave house woke up when Neddie played the piano, and when he told his papa and mama why he did it, to drive away the lions, they said he had done just right. Then, everything got quiet, and Neddie finished his sleep in bed, and nothing more happened. So, pretty soon, if the trolley car doesn't run off the tracks and bunk into the dishpan and make a big dent in it, I'll tell you about Neddie and Beckie going to a party. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Baby. I hope you all have a good night and sweet dreams.